Ladies and gentlemen, I saw Barbussy for all of its glory last night, okay? Which was, in some respects, a mistake because I went and saw it with Ludwig, which was a fucking awful idea because I get to the goddamn cinema. First, I went and played some basketball, made my way over to parts of Los Angeles that I don't normally go to, okay? And I get there on time. Ludwig's like, oh, I'm going to be a little late. Whatever. It's fine. Okay. It's cool. I'm like about to feed the meter and he goes, yeah, actually don't do that. I was like, what? Why? He goes, yeah, so I lied to you. I said I got tickets. Like I acquired tickets for all of us and I actually didn't do that. I did not acquire tickets for all of us. I just thought that like they would be available. And I was like, dude, have you looked, like, have you Googled Barbie tickets? Like they're fucking sold out. He's like, yeah, I didn't really realize that it would be sold out on a Wednesday night. I was like, yeah, of course it's sold out on a fucking Wednesday night. It's selling out for weeks. So then I had to take matters into my own goddamn hands and go all the way to fucking Glendale. Okay. Like I literally had to buy the tickets myself. And then we made our way over to motherfucking Glendale, okay? It was just so goddamn far. Far from where we were, extra far from my fucking house. Like, so yeah, we made it barely in time, okay? Did the movie make you hate men like it was supposed to? Yeah, I got some... I haven't even gathered my thoughts on it yet. I haven't even gathered my thoughts on the issue yet, on the movie in general. But I'm going to do that haphazardly right now because guess what? Sometimes you're supposed to actually bring a fucking notepad to the movie theater like a goddamn nerd and take notes if you want to watch it and then also make like cohesive arguments about how you feel about the movie in general. Of course, I didn't do that because I was there to enjoy the movie, okay? I was there to simply enjoy the movie itself because I'm a normal human being. I will tell you a couple things, okay? I'll tell you a couple things right off the bat. Okay, it's a bit more underwhelming than I thought it was going to be, partially because it was an emotional roller coaster at times, but in a way where like the goofy parts were really elevated and the sad parts were really elevated as well. Okay, I'll tell it to you like that, where it was definitely a really good movie. It was definitely a really good movie. Movies are back. What I mean by movies are back, however, is that movies already are, like, movies are back don't have anything to really do with whether the quality of the movie is up to par. It's more so about cinema being back. It's more so about the cultural phenomena, the experience, the way that, like, one piece of film could tap into the collective consciousness through billions of dollars of marketing efforts. Barbie and Oppenheimer, the double feature promotion, has achieved that. Like seeing movie theaters completely packed to the fucking brim, you know, going there, watching it in the movie theater, all of that stuff was great. That was great. That was a great experience overall. I mean, guys, I dressed up. I wore pink. You know what I mean? It was pretty awesome. So, yeah, I'm no longer rectangular. I'm actually Ken. I'm just Ken. That song lives in my mind. It occupies so much real estate in my mind. A couple thoughts. Right off the bat, casting-wise, Ryan Gosling is such a phenomenal actor. He is so goddamn good as Ken. He's so good. He is a cut above all the other Kens. Simu Liu was pretty good, too, but, like, you can tell, like, he is so good at the role that he was supposed to play. However, he did come across a little old, and it made me feel old because, like, I grew up with Ryan Gosling being, like, on the silver screen, you know what I mean, in Tinseltown. So, like, it partially made me feel old seeing, like, I just felt like he looked old, even though he was brilliant as Ken, I will admit. So, he basically outacted the role. Ryan Gosling, Ken, was the same role as in Driver. That's funny. Your Barbie movie, Ben Shapiro take, got 97% up dudes on Toilet Paper USA. I saw Barbie last night. I don't even know what Ben Shapiro could be mad about other than the fact that he failed as a screenwriter and never everything offends him. Yeah. I mean, it's true. Barbie is so pro men. It's insane. Yeah. Okay. So before we get into the politics of the movie category, a couple things that stand out for me. Like I said, the goofy, silly, funny parts were so goofy and silly and funny, but then I wasn't really expecting to be like on an emotional roller coaster where the sad parts were so elevated and so sad. I felt like I got whiplash by the end of the movie where I was just like, holy shit. Like there were so many moments where it was just like, it made me so sad. The relationship between the mom and daughter, you know, the older lady that made the Barbie or whatever the fuck, right? Like all of those moments were very, very sad. For the most part, this is going to be a spoiler-free review, so shut the fuck up. I will tell you where there is like an actual spoiler, okay? I will tell you where there's an actual spoiler. The moment that actually made me literally almost tear up was the park bench. The park bench moment was a unique one. That's not a spoiler in and of itself. Shut the fuck up. The park bench moment, like actually, I almost cried. I was very close to crying. I got very, I got really in my fifis, okay? But because I'm a man, I held myself back. I held my tears back. I didn't cry. Okay. Anyway, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it was a beautiful moment. So, but it's like odd. It's unexpected. I'll just tell you like that. I'll just tell it to you as it is. It was unexpected. The politics of the show, the movie is ham-fisted. Obviously, from my perspective. Overall, there's like really a lot of signifiers to neoliberalism and how bad that is, which is really interesting. Like you would not really expect that in a movie, right? Guess what? No, we have officially commodified like left-wing critiques of capitalism. It's done. It's over. It's happening. You're going to see a lot more of that in the movies. I think you know, a lot of people are going to give you surface-level critiques of neoliberal capitalism. There are a lot of ham-fisted moments like that. Yes, we have officially full-blown commodified anti-capitalism. It's happening. It's always slated to happen, but it's definitely more aggressive in this movie than others that I've seen. Now, here's the situation. I don't know why I, in a weird way, expected this to be just like a fun-loving movie that wasn't simply going to be a marketing movie, an entire movie dedicated to a Mattel doll, but of course it was. And the final act basically is a full-blown like swapping of the narrative. There's light jabs and subtle jabs at you know, feminist capitalism. The notion that the entire chain of command at the Barbie company is all men. You know, you have all of that. First act opens up. I'll tell you, there might be some slight spoilers here. First act opens up. Spoiler alert, you've been warned. First act opens up with the Barbie universe being this like very obvious counter to how the real universe exists, right? It's almost a matriarchy. Everyone's a woman. Everyone in positions of power is a woman. Everything's great. You have the Supreme Court, all women, president, all women, all this stuff. It's crazy. It's great, yada, yada, yada. So then there's like an existential crisis that Barbie goes through, and then she realizes, she goes to like the weird Barbie. She realizes that the existential angst is being caused by whoever's playing with her in the real world actually feeling horrible. So Barbie goes on her own journey. Now, that's basically the short and sweet of it. It's a pretty basic subplot of just the dynamics of gender in some ways, and how it bears itself out in the real world, and how those dynamics are commodified by a company like Mattel. First act is basic. Second act, you move into the real world where Barbie, the typical Barbie, gets hit with cold hard facts about the patriarchy. Some of my favorite aspects of the movie were Ryan Gosling's character, Ken, learning about patriarchy and loving it as a juxtaposition to what his existence and the angst he felt being just a side character in the Barbie universe. I love that. It was actually some of the funniest beats in the entire movie. Ludwig and I both agreed that weirdly enough, the women had to carry the plot, the women had to carry everything in the movie, but like the men had the best lines. Like the funniest fucking moments were all men being stupid. It was great. It was actually really, really, really funny. I definitely think it was very well written. The humorous quips related to men and the stupidity of patriarchy and like learning all of that. But ultimately, there's a couple things don't make a lot of sense when you think about it. The juxtaposition between Act 1 and Act 2, Barbie world versus the real world where patriarchy dominates, is supposed to basically show us and Mattel's commodification of matriarchy as a mechanism to, like, I guess solve the problem of patriarchy, and then that revelation that it is not happening, obviously through the selling of a toy such as Barbie, is completely overridden by the final act of the movie, where you really remember that this is kind of a rudderless ship that isn't necessarily going anywhere, and it's basically a 2-hour-long ad for Mattel and Barbie in general, because it's basically bringing you back in on the final act to say, hey, this is a labor of love. Barbie was created to actually show women like they can be ordinary, they can be beautiful, but they can also do things that are not supposed to be ordinary and whatnot. And I hated the ending. I will just say it like that. I did not like the ending at all. I thought that the ending I didn't know how you could end it regardless, but I didn't even realize how you could potentially end it. I'm glad that it ended on a funny beat and they didn't leave it like The Sopranos ending, because I literally thought when the screen was going white on the final moment, I thought, oh my God, this is going to be like The Sopranos. It's crazy. But ultimately, Hasan didn't get the ending. No, the ending sequence before the final joke, the final beat, the ending sequence is quite literally showing you company culture, and how Barbie was created out of a labor of love from a very real person with very real experiences, who also may have gone to prison for tax evasion. So like it just like was so shoved in my fucking face that it made it kind of ruined the messages that were relatively ham-fisted in the first act, the second act, about like the whole like world is dominated by patriarchy and it's harmful to women and its impacts on women are very real and very noticeable. I think it does a really good job of explaining that. I would say that the final act kind of ruined it because, like I said, it was a relatively frustrating to experience that like very obvious sequence of like this is the creator and here are the reasons. Like I even named you after my daughter Barbara, which I thought was pretty funny. That this lady is so old she named her daughter Barbara. Anyway, your analysis ignores the whole can you go back to knowing reality is a lie aspect. Yeah, she wanted to experience the real world as Barbie, or stereotypical Barbie wanted to be a real woman. Okay, I got that. What does that actually say about us? What does that actually say about Barbie? What does that actually say about the movie? It doesn't really quite make sense in that whole situation. Like it's not a great, I don't think it's a great way to wrap up the story. I don't think it's a powerful ending. That's all I'm saying. And in many respects, how the fuck do you make a really solid, endlessly watchable and an adult movie for a little girl's toy? You know what I mean? What did you think about the daughter calling Barbie fascist? Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was ham-fisted. Do you agree that the movie definitely isn't really for kids? I mean, the movie is, no, I think the movie is for kids. Why wouldn't it be for kids? There's like no sexual undertones, very little sexual innuendo whatsoever. It's just mostly about, it's mostly great as far as like showing everyone that's watching what patriarchy's negative aspects have been in the lives of individual women. It's a hyper individualistic, very I would say relatively critical of capitalist, but still capitalist analysis on the dynamic of gender. One thing that I had seen before I even watched the movie that I thought was very interesting, and it just like stuck with me, was that under a patriarchal construct, women are supposed to be servile and work in service of men, and they exist simply to serve men. Whereas in the matriarchal construct of Barbie Land in the beginning, women are dominating everything, but they're not dominating the men. The men are just kind of there. Now, I don't know if that's because we don't have a decent enough understanding of what like misandry would work in a matriarchal setting versus how misogyny works. in a patriarchal setting, we know very well. I don't know if that was the reason why, because there's not enough, like, it was not very, maybe it was a lack of imagination. Maybe it was not very inventive, or maybe it's because women just kind of don't want to do anything mean to men if they're in positions of power. Like, they just want to make sure that they dominate, but they don't have like necessarily a systematically violent outcome in the same way that the patriarchal constructs immediately relegated to chaos and dominance of women. There are too many femcells for that. I think it followed a joke that Ken's just being accessories to Barbies. Yeah, for sure. It could be something as simple as that. Wasn't the Barbie treating the Kens like men treat women in the real world, and I felt the point was missed in the movie? No. I don't think the Barbies treated the Kens like men treat women in the real world at all. Not at all. They didn't make the Kens servile at all. They basically just made the Kens exist. The Kens themselves were rudderless and did not have a sense of direction or a sense of duty beyond like being admired by the Barbies. They wanted to be ogled by the Barbies, but they were basically just there. They wanted to be more than just beach, which is understandable. I think there was in that circumstance, like, the point is that the Kens also were rudderless, and they wanted something as well for themselves. I don't think the movie does a really good job of like showcasing what that society would look like, what a perfect society would look like. Regardless, do you think the Ken's arc could be used as a commentary on incels and how men radicalize, even though it was very silly in the movie? Because in the real world, patriarchy exists from the beginning, especially in the Western world, and incels radicalize because of not having access to that promised power. And feeling like they are embarrassed. It's a sense of embarrassment and powerlessness that they experience under capitalism that they feel is not being given to them on the boundaries of gender, because capitalist patriarchy dictates that you as a man are out there to fuck shit up and take it. And you're not allowed to do it. So you, instead of getting mad at capitalism, you get mad at feminism, because you think like, well, that's what's fucked up about this. It's like, I'm not allowed to be myself. I'm not allowed to be a man. Whereas in the other one, in the Barbie movie, you just like kind of learn about it in a silly, goofy way. I thought the incel radicalization thing was kind of the point. They even made a Snyder Cut joke. I mean, I don't know what their intention was, but I still think that ultimately it was, you know. Or maybe I just didn't understand it. Remember how Ben said the only comedy was in the first 2 minutes of the movie? That's so stupid, because it was a very funny movie throughout. Every part that I'm fucking glazing Ryan Gosling, but every fucking part that Ryan Gosling was in was so goddamn good. Margot Robbie was incredible as well. But holy shit, Ryan Gosling, it was so fucking funny. He was so funny. Ryan Gosling's introduction to patriarchy and like starting to recognize that, in my opinion, was even funnier than like Margot Robbie coming to recognize that like patriarchy is actually really damaging. Like there are a lot of moments, there's a lot of beats where they're like, oh, there's a construction yard, let's go over there to get some feminine energy, and then like they're like, come on, sugar tits. Like it was that is like supposed to be funny, but I don't think that it was as funny as like Ryan Gosling and his moments, him discovering trucks and Century City. Hospital skit was really funny. Exactly, like him being misogynistic, like learning patriarchy and then being misogynistic to like random people. I loved that. I thought that was really good. Horses, of course. How could I forget? The Miss Universe Supreme Court joke was really, really, that was good too. I have all the genitals. Yeah, exactly. No, there's a lot of good moments. There was a lot of funny moments. There's a lot of funny moments. God, Ryan Gosling's such a good actor, and Margot Robbie was great too. Overall, is this movie a gender essentialist movie? I mean, you can certainly get a takeaway such as that one, but I don't think that's what it is. I think the movie is about how everybody needs a purpose in life, including the Kens. Just like everybody needs a purpose in life, the Kens need a purpose in life, the Barbies need a purpose in life, and that's the goal. It's not good when the women are dominating because the Kens are upset without even realizing that why they're upset, but they're still upset, and the Barbies are upset when the Kens are dominating because the Kens have relegated them into a servile breed and service mode of existence. That was it. There are too dumb to be upset. I mean, it's just like ultimately there's a trans Barbie and nobody would even notice if the right wingers didn't make us think about it. I think the trans Barbie inclusion was really good. Like the different kinds of Barbies were funny and good overall. I was a fan of all of that. Would you agree that this movie falls under the quote, capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself, even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead? There is no better representation of that quote than them making like subtle jabs at capitalism and like how this is technically a fucking toy movie, while simultaneously the main purpose of this movie is to sell toys. So yes, that is precisely what is going on here. Yeah, there's a trans Barbie. She is stereotypically a DJ. So that's it.